Okay, let's stand for the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Matt, Jim used to go before let's go if everyone is present.
He's here. Okay, first thing is the approval of the board meeting minutes dated September 4th, 2014.
I'll motion. Second.
Any discussion? No?
Okay. Like Matt?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Mike Stoller?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes. Public commentary, there's no one here, so that's closed. Reports, Mr. Commissioner, Road Commissioner.
In my written, I'll go over it. About 1 mile of to finish car and shipping, and those are all broke up spots throughout the township. Between Washington, Will, and Peatone Township, we use over 100,000 gallons of oil. That's 3 weeks, 3-4 weeks. So it's probably close to 20 some miles of resealing and A2. Still working on the patches on a few roads. Corning Road has not started as planned. Other jobs got in front of it. The storm kind of threw us back a few days, and we've been chipping. That one, we're having a problem with one hill down by Nestle Hut. I think it's still bleeding, and we're trying to figure out why it's bleeding, the water.
Oh, water.
I mean, it's just, water is just pumping out of there, and we're trying to, if we don't get the water out of there, it's not no use even doing anything on that one. And we've had a French drain there, it's drained to the ditch, and different things, and it's still running water, so we have to figure that one out. Patching's ongoing, garbage, they're not only dumping in our dumpsters, they're dumping all over the township. If we don't have 2-3 times a week, we're out picking up garbage someplace, someone dumps it. And if you do see them dumping, get the license plate numbers, take a picture, take fingerprints. That's all I can answer. Can't prove anything. The grader, the engine's out. It's block is at Moeller's. The crank was bad in it. We have the new that part. The crank's in. The other part should be coming this week that can go back together. The stone you see at the shop here is going on Corning Road, and we're also covering quite a few of the stone roads throughout the township for the year. Kind of neat thing, last Thursday, received a call from a Ford County engineer questioning us about our tar chipping, how we do it with our A2s. We've been doing for probably the last 6 or 7 years. Not putting prime oil down first, which is a savings of probably $8,000 a mile. And he heard at a convention that we were doing that, and he wanted to know how it was working out and stuff. So he called me. He's coming out to look at it, stuff. So
What's an A2 road?
A2 is when you go stone, and it's a stone road, and you put it in blacktop.
Like a gravel road.
Yeah, gravel road.
Okay.
And then when it goes to blacktop, originally you had to put prime oil down for 24 hours. Then you came with a coat of oil and tar, and then you came back another layer of oil and tar. So that was called an A2, 2 layers.
Okay.
But everyone had to use prime oil.
Wait, say that again. So it was gravel, and then you said it was asphalt. Asphalt?
No, it was.
It's not. It's not like a stone and chip.
No, it's a primer. It's
Right.
just an oil.
Right.
It's made of kerosene and gasoline and
Okay.
oil mixture. And that's supposed to take care of the dust, and then you put
Right.
your tar on, and that's supposed to stick to the stones. Well,
And then you chip it.
Then we chip it.
Okay.
I was in Wisconsin for a school on it, and we was talking to an engineer out in Nebraska and Wyoming, out west, and we were talking about it, and he said, we haven't used prime oil in years. And he explained the reason why, and we tried different spots, and he said we probably have close to 10 miles already between the 3 of us that are A2 and no prime oil.
And they were holding up.
Perfect. But it's a saving of quite a bit of money, because right now, prime oil is $4 a gallon. And what we do is we use water. And
Just to
water-
get, like, to clean it, or to get the dust off of it? Yeah.
Just we put a coat of water down, and water is pretty cheap. But I thought it was kind of neat that that's Ford County. I mean, that's
Yeah.
quite a ways away, and they heard about us, and they're coming out. He wants to know if he can come out and take a look at our roads. So that's just, I thought it was kind of neat. Any questions?
Assessor, I know, I talked to Carol Ann last week, and she had a number of petitions for
Appeals.
appeals, yeah, not petitions. One of them was in Nantucket Grove there, and they wanted the house that was vacant, as a model home, to be assessed at $0. So, she has to go through the paperwork, even though that's, you can't have a house that's assessed at $0. But, she has a number of requests, this last couple of weeks. And that was all she.
And then she left me,
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So she left me, I'm not in attendance, could you please share the following? I recently attended a meeting with State Representative Kate Cloonan regarding the tax recovery bill for airport property. Because our school district stretches to the east side of Crawford, I felt it necessary to attend the meeting. One concern was whether the rent received from the hangars would be passed on to the taxing bodies, still waiting for a response.
Oh, okay.
I'll attach that to the minutes.
Weren't you last month talking about, I was on yours, and that outcome,
Never heard anything more from his office.
but it's still out there that we're considering, somehow trying to find a way to get revenue back from the money they stole from us, or not stole.
I know it's a hot topic in the three
Well,
townships.
do you have any idea on how many dollars in EVA that we've lost? Any-
No.
Not in
Carol.
Washington, I know Will Township had a number. Well, the school district, I do believe, was $50,000.
60, there was 60,000.
That was their portion, they lost off their budget on Bull Field.
Oh, you mean with just Bull, I'm talking about the other houses that have been destroyed.
This is just off the
Total
airport property.
for the last couple of years you're talking
Yeah,
about?
like, you know, since the beginning of the
Oh.
fiasco, how many thousands of dollars have we lost in tax revenue because there's this plan to do something that doesn't work? Okay.
Okay. Clerk's report is next.
Yeah, so the breakfast was last Saturday. We had 124 all in with everybody there. Real energetic crowd. The fire department did a wonderful job talking about smoke detectors, furnaces, being ready for the winter, and not overexerting yourself, you know, snow and ice removal. Actually had some questions to the firemen that was doing the presentation. So people were very engaged. And then we had somewhere around 14 or 15 people that took advantage of the flu shot program. At least it was 14 last time I checked. I don't know what the final number was, but it was at least 14. So that went over pretty well. And there was a couple of people that came in and got flu shots that didn't attend the breakfast. Movie night last Wednesday, we had 30 people. So we had a nice crowd after for the movie night. And then the newsletter, it needs to go out no later than, I'd like to have it to the printer no later than October 20th, so that gives us like 2 weeks to get stuff. And I mean, it's pretty easy to do, it's fall, it's not hard, you could do so much on what road you repair and stuff, it's amazing. So anybody that wants to contribute anything, try to get it to me as soon as possible so that I can get this thing wrapped up. And I'd like to have it all done into the printer by October 22nd or so. And I have started that, so. I know that the village is collecting revenue for ads. They haven't sent me any yet, but in any event, that I know they're working on that as well. But we'll be ready to go as soon as they send the ads stuff to go. And that's all I have.
Okay?
Do you know the cost on those? The
Yeah.
breakdown on the size? and
It's
cost?
over $200, $275, something like that. It's pretty
How big
pricey.
is an ad?
Business card,
A
and
business?
business card.
Okay.
Planning and zoning?
They haven't met, so I've got nothing.
Okay. My report, just to kind of, on the Township Planning Commission, I know that our ombudsman has canceled a number of meetings the last month, where he only meets once, he's only here once a month, but the last 2 months at least. Won't be here again till sometime in December, pending what the decision is for the expressway. CMAC, yeah. I mean, it's going through all kinds of votes, and we're getting lawsuits from environmental groups and habitat groups, as far as some long-eared bat that is not, I don't know about around here, but maybe it's at Ted's house. But I mean, there's a number of lawsuits that are being filed against the whole project, and there's still some discussion going on. So he decided not to come in until there was a final decision on the expressway. Supervisor's report. I spoke with. You know, we still have the phone issue that's really gets me. So we have Comcast. It's a digital service. So when we had an analog service before with the older phones, which is copper lines coming in, then we went a number of years ago to a new phone system, which is digital lines, fiber optics, you know, high-tech stuff. But here's the thing, AT&T, they're moving in that direction anyways. So we're kind of, if we went back to copper lines, we're kind of going back. It was explained to me, it's like an Indy car and you put regular gasoline in there. You know, it'll work, but it's not works as well. So I spoke with Comcast about our contract, which I was under the impression it was up in last month, September, but actually we have until 2015 is when our contract goes to. I'm not saying that we can't get out of it, because I still think we can. However, we got to have something in place if we get out of it. I spoke with AT&T. I told him our situation. He thought our price, well, of course he's a salesman, he thought the price that we were paying for the voice, digital voice and all that is kind of high. He thought it was high for the number of phones we have, 6 phones. He thought it was high. He's getting back to me on some pricing. See, you know, we're paying over 300 and it's in the bills, but you know, it's 370 something or $368 for the Comcast business plan, which is, that's a lot of dough. I don't know why we have to pay, we were paying that much money, but we are. So I'm still working on that, and we have to have something. So the thought of going back to the old phone system, since we have those phones, might not be a great idea, because they have to be reworked a little bit. You're going to use the older lines. So I don't know. I'm not sure which is the best way to go yet on the phone system. Daryl Dahlberg, our accountant, he has been doing a lot of work. I don't know if you got it in your, if you downloaded it. He's got the budget like laid out of what we've spent to date and or through September. He entered all that stuff in. He's also been working, you know, he's worked on the audit as far as getting the township side of the audit up to compliance or snuff, so that it kind of matches the audit that was done by Legacy. He also, if you notice when we get to the bills, and I talked to him about this already before, and I think Joe has too. His price is one number. It's not split out yet. X amount of dollars for the road and bridge, X amount of dollars for the community building. He's just lumped it all into the town account. And he knows about it, and he did not do that on this time, but I think probably next time he'll have it split out. He spent more time on the town account, definitely, because of all the other tax issues and stuff that is coming up.
I know I got a bill for my payroll. I do pay my own payroll from him.
Right. I don't, yes, exactly, but it's gonna be more, he wasn't breaking it out on the bills, I don't think, before, I don't think he was.
That, not on the bill, but I mean, for payroll, I'm paying by, I think it's $100
Right,
or $150
right, exactly.
a month.
Yeah. So he's still going through, I mean, and now there's the taxes for the fiscal year, or for the quarterly, were kind of messed up from before, so he's working on that.
Unemployment,
Yeah,
because of being, elected officials do not take unemployment out, and unemployment was taken out from advocates' reps.
right, so he's working on straightening that out. So his bill still is kind of high, but eventually it's gonna taper off and it'll be pretty consistent. That is, as far as my report, that's supervisory report, that's it. The transportation, we have in September 642 riders, which has been pretty consistent for the last few months. It's in the 640 range, 640, 643, something like that. So that's still pretty consistent. Teresa is going in for her knee surgery on the 17th of October. She will be out for a number of weeks. And I'm going to talk, I think we have a game plan on how everything's going to run without her, somehow. So I think it'll be fine. We got Derek coming in. One of the other bus drivers will also come in and help do scheduling. Teresa will still do the reports, though, the quarterly reports. Payment of the bills, which is what Teresa was also doing, the typical weekly or bi-weekly bills. I'm gonna see if I can get Brooke to do it. It's not that hard to do. So if not, Daryl will do it. But Daryl, charges us for coming out here. Although he does come out here every 2 weeks for payroll, he can do it at the same time, but it just adds more to his time that he's here, which, he does, his hourly rate is not really meant for writing checks, I don't think. So that's transportation. The GA report, we have one person still receiving, on a monthly basis, general assistance. We had 3 applicants this last month, and of those 3, only one was eligible that we could help, and it was an emergency assistance person. So we had two cases last month. One was the typical GA, which is $245 a month for this person. And then the other one was the emergency assistance, which was $558.50. So we've been seeing a lot of people requesting emergency assistance, or help, I should say, on their electric bills, because ComEd, a few months ago, the rates went up, and it just seemed that it pushed people that were on the edge over the edge. And it used to be water bills for the village, but now it seems like it's mostly it's been electric. They're having hard times with their electric bill. Some people we can help, some people we can't. Also on the GA is, when I started, we adopted like a list of emergency assistance and GA assistance protocol. The emergency assistance, we only, in a lifetime, we can only help people 5 times. And there's already been some people that are over that. I mean, even before I got here, they've been over the 5 times in a lifetime. So it's kind of hard to tell them no, but That's what we adopted. Because it's just a prolonged issue. I mean, it's always the same time of year. As soon as their anniversary date comes up, they're in the office asking for assistance again, and they're not getting off of the assistance, and that's why I think we limited it to 5. Some townships only do 3 times in a lifetime for emergency assistance. GA is a different story. That's continuing, but emergency assistance is to help for a one-time, in 12 months, a one-time life-threatening issue.
So Mike, if somebody had a $500 bill, do you have to pay the $500 bill, or could you pay $200 to help more people by doing 200 here, 200 there?
Well, it's based on what their status is at home. If they have kids, the rate goes up based on and what their monthly income is. There's also, and we have a chart that says how many individuals are in the home. This is how much you could receive. Now, the idea is if their bill is so high and they don't qualify for that high dollar amount for the chart, then that money is really being wasted. Let's say the bill is $500 and they only qualify for $200.
Right.
Really, you shouldn't really help them because the $200 is not going to help their situation.
They're not assuming the electric turn on, what you're saying.
They have to try to come up with the extra dollars because that's just tax money. It's just money that's really just going up. If it can't help them, it can't help them. So now people that have come in, we've helped. As far as emergency assistance goes, we've helped, I think, nearly every person that's come in because they found the money. We've helped them get through some of the situations that either talk with the utility companies saying, can you give this person, don't shut off their electric, we're going to help them out, can you give them an extension? Propane companies have actually, well, we haven't gotten to that season yet, but they've actually been very amiable as far as extending their payment requirements. So we try to help everybody that we can when they come in. Some people come in just looking for a handout, and other people really do deserve the money, so we do help them. And that is the end of the GA report. Trustees.
Can I ask you a question, Mike,
Sure.
on your reports? With the audit that was done by Daryl, was there anything significant he found that we need to address?
It's not like a, it's not something that gets us in trouble. It's just that the audit says one thing and we've never met what the audit says that we needed to do as far as paperwork
The requirements,
and
right.
requirement. It just was never really brought up to the same level. So that's what he has been doing, is bringing up our paperwork and our reports and this and that so that we kind of mesh with.
So the cash flow is meeting, right?
Yes.
The dollars coming in and the dollars being spent are being matched up correctly?
Yeah, but that's not really what the audit is. I mean,
Okay.
it's really policies and things like that, and paperwork and policies and things. So
Okay.
he's been working on that because he said it's never been.
Right.
He
You
has
guys
addressed
can sit out here,
it.
right?
You can sit wherever you like.
I'll draw by myself, I will draw by myself. Feel like I'm on the spot.
Okay, trustees, who wants to start? Paul?
Sure, I'll start. First, I did send out thank you letters to Jim Stett for the donation for the class reunion, and also the Lynch family for their donations to food pantry. And again, we're back in school again because last month we had 17 families, and this past month I'm up to 28 families. So it seems like when school's back in session, it seems like we're getting more people at the pantry versus during the summertime. So, but those donations that we did receive are really helping out a lot. So,
Paul, how much did you get from the class reunion?
Stet, I want to say it was close to $1,200.
Oh, kidding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he made the check directly out to Chicago Food Depository directly, so that worked out real well. And Lynch was, I want to say,
It was 220.
yeah, correct. So now we got you know, we got the holidays coming up again, seems like I always pick up again during the holidays too, for Thanksgiving and Christmas, so, see what happens.
When you need help for packing bags, just let me know.
Sounds good, I'll do the same thing we did last year
Yeah,
again.
it's fine, so I'll help you out.
Awesome.
So we talked about, I know it was after the fact last year, about if somebody was looking for Thanksgiving type of baskets, right? So they have to come to the food pantry, fill out or sign something, right?
It'd be nice, I have to put my holiday order in by October 10th. So I'm doing X amount of turkeys, and I'm gonna store them, and when they're gone, they're gone.
Okay.
That's basically what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have probably close to probably about 75 turkeys, is what I'm gonna have. And like I said, I have my order in by the 10th, so it's hard to, when they're gone, they're gone. You know?
Is there, and I don't know why I didn't ask you this before, is there a qualification to get food from the food pantry? No.
Now, if you come down here and you live in Washington Township and say you need it, hand it out to you.
Right, okay.
And I would say, the majority of people that come down there, I would probably say 95 to 98%. I usually know who they are, and they're kind of struggling, so.
Okay.
I don't
So-
think anybody uses it.
So any holiday bags or Thanksgiving, anything, it's gonna come from the food pantry?
Correct.
Correct, and not from the township?
Absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely.
okay, that's good. So Mark, you really haven't gotten
Yeah,
task yet.
I read the minutes, I guess I did. But since I didn't know that I read the minutes,
You didn't hear
there's
that
no
conversation?
report on the recycling.
You gotta read the minutes, because Joe gets stuff you miss.
You know, of course, I mean, you see what it is out there, and we rehash this every single month. And I don't, and I've even put it in the newsletter before about, you know, not everything is recyclable. Or, I mean, I guess everything could be, but recycling companies don't take everything. Styrofoam, they're not gonna recycle styrofoam. They're not gonna recycle, obviously, tires and mattresses and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know I don't know if you try to educate people that this is what they take. I mean, they only take like 5 different things: newspaper, plastic bottles,
Glass,
pardon?
glass bottle.
Yeah, glass bottles, and that's pretty much it. They don't want
I'll take the copper.
plastic bags and stuff like that, so I don't know if that helps you or not, but,
And with the sign, we were talking about a sign, Daycab industry, he does quite a bit of stuff for Goldie and everyone. If you want a sign made up, he'd be the person to get a hold of, that you can put it on a sign out there, and you can put the rules and
Yeah.
whatnot, and just have,
I think we really need to make some signs up saying no dumping of garbage.
yeah.
Big signs, like I said, 2 weeks ago, I kicked somebody out of there. He got kind of pissy with me at first, and then I said, hey, this is garbage you're throwing in there. Get it out of here. And he put it back in his truck and left.
Does that state's attorney still come in once a month?
he's been here for a long time.
So we need to sit down and talk to him and see what our options are as far as charging people for the service, so to speak.
Well, I don't know if you do that.
I
if
don't know,
you
that's
charge
up to,
people.
see, the state's attorney can say, okay, you can be ticketed. and
Yeah,
we
that's
can
different.
enforce
That's-
it. Well,
yeah.
I understand that, that's what I'm saying, charging. You charge somebody with a crime. It's illegal dumping.
Oh,
Oh,
charge.
we gotta
Oh, okay,
see,
charge.
yeah, no, not collecting a garbage fee, no.
That's good.
But we need to talk to the state's attorney and see what our options are with that.
Okay, all right, well, Mark,
Okay.
all right.
I hope we get some signs made up from Dave Gall. I think we should post some signs, some road signs.
Ted, do you have any?
I got 2 things. Senior stuff, senior breakfast, as Joe said, went up real well. I was particularly happy with the brochure that Joe produced. 4-color, real sharp, very professional, nice agenda on it, pictures of our activities. And the whole breakfast scene was very well done, very well orchestrated. Everybody was in good spirits. I think everyone appreciated it, and it was a really good thing. I enjoyed it, real great job with that. And in other senior events, there's a a play coming up, all hands on deck at, I think it's Lincoln Way, I believe. There's 6 tickets left for that. We pay for them, so we need people to use them, otherwise we don't do it. We did one barn quilt tour in September. We're doing another one this Wednesday. The first one went real well, and there's a real cool barn quilt tour if you don't know about it. And everybody really enjoyed it, and it took us 4 hours to make the loop. So we'll get the lunch in Aroma Park. And in the first week in December, we're going to, in the evening, to a Christmas concert at Olivet at their auditorium, which is supposedly a real spectacular venue to have a Christmas program. So if you pass the word on that. The other thing I worked on a little bit was the dog park. And if you want to get a little bit philosophical about a dog park, if you can, I had the pleasure of being a dog sitter over the weekend. And I frankly don't understand why people have dogs, but the point is that the people on this board, our township board, sometimes we have to look at the bigger picture. And I think it would be a really cool thing if someone wanted to live in Washington Township, and just in passing they can mention there was a dog park. It's a real simple thing to do. It just adds another feather in our cap, and I think the board needs to look at these bigger pictures. That's what we get voted in here for, not just to pay bills, but to look at the bigger picture. And a dog park is something that can be done surprisingly inexpensive. And I did some quick numbers on it. First off, the average cost around the area is like $60 is for a member to join. Like Frankfurt 60, Lowell 60, Dyer 60, Munster's 40, Will County's 40. That's not even close to us. So anyway, let's figure an average cost of $60 maybe as a fee. And I went through some notes that we've done, Mike, before, and I kind of updated and spun around on that. And lo and behold, it could be built, a dog park, the fence is a big expense. The fence is costing anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000. There's other equipment that we would need, doggy stations, a bulletin board, a park bench, some landscaping, stuff like that. And my idea is, if this board would be willing to do this, if we would be the seed money to create this park, and we would spend somewhere between $15,000 to $25,000. If we would get a loan at 5% interest, pay it off in 10 years, it would cost $160 a month to finance the park. And now, if $60 per person, that would be 32 people in this community. For 32 people who are willing to join as a member of the dog park, it would be self-financed. If you go the higher end with the more costly fence, you need 50 members. But these are just rough numbers. And the point is that for that self-funded thing, we get this really great feather in our cap. And I think that we need to be the seed to make this thing grow. And like I said, I am not a dog person. But I'm sure that the dog I was babysitting would appreciate the ability to go run loose without having to have a collar on them and worry about whatever dog you're worried about. So anyway, I like to get the permission from the board to take this to the village. Scott and I have talked about it several times to kick around the idea of finalizing a location. I know they're piling dirt out here now. I don't know what's that about.
That's supposed to be going out, there's a place over it.
Okay, anyway.
Well, that's the property that they said we could have it, though.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, okay.
the big expense in the past was maintenance, and that's, Buddy's not real wild about that, but these are issues that need to be resolved. But with a loan of $15,000 to $20,000, which and this, by the way, I mentioned paid back in 10 years. So let's say, be optimistic if 60 people signed up and it was $160 a month, you could pay off the loan in 5 years. I mean, this would be self-funding, self-retiring debt. And when someone wants to come, when someone's looking for a house to buy, they could go to Frankfurt, it has a dog park, or they could go to Beecher, they have a dog park. if we could attract just one house because of that, because Fido needs a place to run, it's worth it. That alone would pay for itself. So, anyway, I'd like to have permission from this board to move forward on that, take it to the village, see what they've already told me they frankly don't want to spend any money on it, but, you know, that's their initial.
Well, they said that their input would be, their
The land,
portion would be the land.
and the maintenance.
Oh, they would?
Yeah, well,
It's-
Buddy was that did he commit to it, or did he? Right, it's more work.
They cut the grass there anyways.
Right, exactly, cut the grass.
Right, so now they gotta go through a gate to cut the grass instead of
I
just cutting the grass.
I threw in $1,000 for trees, mulch, dirt, fertilizer, some gates, you know, put small trees, plant a bunch of small trees, you know.
What about liability issues, if somebody gets bit by a dog or?
We have Torma for all that. I mean, there are other, you know, there are, Torma covers that kind of stuff, because we do a lot of public events that somebody could get hurt or something could happen. But there are, when you get into it, if you look into it, you have to have your dogs tagged, you have to have licensing, there's a criteria, a list you have to agree to, you're responsible, if your dog bites another dog, you're responsible for it, you have to sign on and all that stuff. This is standard procedure in every dog park, so.
How big of a park are you talking?
The average is, Munster was 3 acres, Dyer was 3 acres, Lowell's 5 acres, Frankfurt was 3 acres. This out here, I figured is less than 2.
And that's what the bidding on the fence is, the 10 to 15,000 for 2 acres?
Yeah, figured 1,200 linear foot. Here, let me show you a sketch of this.
Out of curiosity, how many dog tags belong to?
How many dog tags are what?
How many dog tags are there in there?
Well, in the village, I think there's like 900.
Yeah, there's 700 dogs registered in
700,
the village. Is that what they said?
It's 7 or 9.
Take a look at that.
Nine.
Pass it down. We have a resident architect who generous donated design on that. That's 200 by 300, but it could even be a little bit bigger. I mean, whatever.
What's the minimum height of the fencing?
Well, I proposed 4, but there's some codes that are in the village that they don't allow. So I gotta be sure we're compliant with that.
And what kind of fence is it? Chain link?
Well, that's the problem. The chain link
Posts
fence,
and like a horse fence type of thing?
we call it a mesh fence. Mesh fence is 10,000 or so, 90. We might have a recyclable, but it was way cheaper, but chain link is almost 20 grand.
Yeah.
So, but that's brand new with 12 gauge wire
And it's different posts too.
different posts and braces and gates.
I know Lowell's is a wood 4x4
Yeah,
wood
mesh.
post with mesh fence.
Yeah, they look pretty nice.
It does, yeah.
You know, I mean, but there's some issues with, is the city gonna, the village gonna approve it, that kind of thing. But still, even so, if we're talking $160 a month, and let's just go on to say, if we had 30 people would agree in advance that they would be willing to do this, then we could almost assure ourselves that this would pay for itself. You know, how do we lose, you know?
Could you get something like a newsletter to see if how much interest there is on,
You know, we did,
We had partition, yeah, at the Beds and the village hall. There was over 100 people I know signed some of these petitions.
so there is interest.
well, there's interest in it. Then there's the people that don't think their dogs need to have social lifestyle in this world. And there's people that, there's the dog side of the world, where it's good for the dog and it's social for the dog. And then there's the other side of the world that, like me, that I don't personally care about the dog, but it would be such a benefit to the community that it seems worth the effort. So, you know.
What size trees would you do? Small saplings
Yeah.
or
I think
already good established?
well, the more money, you know. I'm gonna buy from Will County, you know, we're in Gallagher Road, what's the name of that place?
Yeah, it's the forestry program, but let me check with Boathouse Road. That's where I got all my trees and they donated them.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I figured it's $50, $60 for a 5-foot tree, you a 4-foot tree, you know, and a 5-foot.
So you want the
Diane
big-
can do better than that, you know. find
You
something.
want the bigger established ones then?
Not necessarily, because I don't know what dogs do to trees, maybe put them on the outside the fence, but, you know, I mean, that, you know, you can spend 20,000 on landscaping, but the, that's just that reason. But, you know,
Ted, did you ask any of those other municipalities if it's become a money maker or how many people use the park continually? It's one thing to have 30 people say that they're gonna do it, but are they gonna stick with it?
Yeah, that's a good question, I should check
I mean,
into
you
that.
got Lowell and Munster and all them places
Yeah.
have it, how many people use it on a regular basis and sign on and continue?
Yeah, that's a good question, I'll check into that, because I know that Frankfurt's adding another one. So, it comes to and we heard that Will County's gonna build one out at Long Grove, but it's a geographic issue. That 3 more miles you gotta drive your head to get to the park. The frequency would be good portion.
So what, you're asking to what, to take this to the village now? You're not asking to go to the bank, right?
No. Not yet. I want to run it by the village and say, hey, look, you know, we talked about this, iron out some issues with management, and this would require a, you know, you have to have a dog commission. This is gonna be self-run, it's gonna be self-funded, you know? People, if you love your dog, here's how you do it. You participate in this membership, so.
I would, yeah, go to the village, yes.
Okay. That's it. That's all I
Is
got.
it? Okay. All right, let's, can we skip over the old business because?
Old business won't take,
Oh,
just a minute, just a
oh,
minute.
okay.
Yeah, Mike, here you go.
Pardon me? Well, he had Township, right? I mean,
Well, the only thing is
planning
Brian
zone.
is saying that he'd like to see one of us go to some of these CMAP meetings. So you have to pick a volunteer if we're interested in participating in those CMAPs.
Yeah, when are they though? They're like, what, 10 o'clock in the morning in
In downtown.
downtown Chicago, right?
Sometimes you said there, one was in South Village. one
Oh,
was
not
in-
the big one, not the voting meeting.
Right,
Oh,
right, no,
okay.
no.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm working
oh.
on
Yeah, I went to the one downtown and testified.
Can he go?
He
Brian?
goes for Calumet City.
Okay, why can't he report
He
to us
can't,
then?
well, I guess
Why?
he could, but he said it'd be conflict. He said, so.
Conflict? He's just gonna report, he's just reading the news like they do on TV, that's all he's gonna do.
I'll ask him.
Okay. If he's already going, then why, I mean, he's supposed to be part of this thing, so he should be able to report it.
When's the next meeting?
I don't know, we'll find out. I just hope he'd be here tonight.
Okay, Joe.
So the situation with the email, the wheels of township government move so slow that from the time I've originally talked about email to now, the rules have changed. Things are what they seem to be. So in order to go to the email, and I think we should do it, I'm just gonna say right up front, it's gonna cost us about $900 a year. You gotta buy 10 mailboxes, pop mailboxes. They come with all the spam and all the, before you got charged for it, but now they'll come with all that, it's all included. So it's probably gonna cost anywhere from, I don't know, $600 to $900 a year for this. The beauty of it is, we don't have to worry about it. It's not on our server, we don't have to pay somebody $60 an hour every time there's a problem. It's always gonna be updated, it's always gonna be the latest and greatest, and we have the best of both worlds. We have upgraded email, we can use Outlook, it's out of house, we don't have to worry about it in-house, and it's kind of like the website, it just all works now, it'll all just blend right in. To try to put it on our server would be a tremendously difficult job, because we just don't have anybody qualified that can maintain it, and it'll cost us more to do that, we'll just pay the money on a yearly basis.
Do we need $10?
Just a minimum is 10, and yes, we do. With Tiny, Jerry, myself, and Mike, and Carol, and Teresa in transportation, there's 6 right there. Probably 7, you have to get 10. Mike's got one for WPBC, so, yeah. So you have, the minimum is 10. So, just makes sense, there's money in the budget for it, so.
What were we paying before?
Right now, it's free, and you get what you pay for.
Okay.
You know, we get spam.
You get every spam email
Yeah,
that comes
it's-
along, and, you know, you open it up and it's that long. And there's one, if you're lucky, there's one email that's about, and the rest of them.
You missed the one you need, because you gotta
It's just-
take a half hour.
And quite frankly, that system is probably gonna go by the wayside pretty soon anyway.
And I even noticed like your hotmails and stuff have all changed this
Yeah.
last year. Now it's all out.
Yeah, so that's the beauty, and everybody uses Outlook, it's seamless, you can put on your phone, everything just, it just all blends together, so. It just makes sense, so if you guys, if there's not any objections, I can call Brad, just tell him to get moving and get it set up, because we really would like to get this done before Teresa goes in. So it's all set.
Now, maintenance would be covered under this, I know.
Yeah, it's all, everything's there, it's done, one and done, so.
So does that mean that we get different email?
Nope, everything's, the email addresses all stay the same.
Because I like misspelled it like 4 times.
Oh.
today.
No, that all,
I get it.
that all stays the same.
Okay.
We might be able to go to .gov or something at some point in time, maybe by .net, I don't know if we wanted to do that, and that's not much money. But we haven't seemed to have any problems with that thus far. but-
Now, I get the township email on my Google account automatically.
It forwards it to it,
Yeah.
you can do that.
Which is
Mine does.
way
Mine
easier
forwards
to
to
do.
my.
But I can tell when it, I mean, and that's where most of my spam comes from, is the Illinois, you know.
Yeah, it comes to my place too, but my spam filter cleans it out. I don't get any of that. But I never answer on my home account, I always go back to the clerk and answer to the clerk. If you don't want to answer anything, don't use your home account for any kind of township businesses.
You need a motion, or?
No, as long as you guys say it's okay, I'll move forward.
I'm for it.
Okay. All right,
Okay, then new business.
new business. I'll set you up, and then Diane, are you willing to talk about this a little bit? Okay. About 18 months ago, 16 months ago, Diane Baltimore contacted me in regards to some issues with a lot of the thefts going on, and she was looking for some governmental body to kind of step up and say, can you help us organize a meeting? And we did that. And so she does, you take it from there.
First, I'm very thankful because my sister does this over in Brunswick when we were having all the thefts in our area. She started doing it, did a little schoolhouse meeting, of which a lot of us Illinois people went to because we're all bordering that state line. That's where all the thefts were happening at that time. Of course, they had the sheriff from Indiana. They didn't really want to address anything with Illinois because it's not their territory. So whatever it spiraled into, we needed to establish something in Illinois. So through doing all of that, I just had thought, and then started talking with Joe here a little bit about, it's nice to have a government or township entity backing where I don't feel like I'm just out here all by myself doing this email thing, whereas that's what we want it to be. I mean, we want to be able to share things and to pass things along so that we're all watching for certain things. That's basically what it is. You know, it's a crime watch in our community, in our township. But it's really, really nice to know that the township is 100% behind what we're doing. So recently, Joe asked me if I'd like to have an email address, which now you have plenty of them, also through the township. My only concern at that point was I do not want the Crime Watch email list to be used for anything other than what it currently is being used for Crime Watch. So I don't want it to be where somebody can go, oh, this is a really good way for me to get my agenda out there. Because I think that we lose the trust of the people that have entrusted me with their email addresses.
The only problem though with the government one, because now she did enough to FOIA, she'd be FOIA'd on everything she does in that government account.
This is information only. All Diane does, and if you, like, I'm part of this.
I am too.
And she sends out an email that says, hey, this is going on, there's been thefts in the area, be vigilant, lock your doors, blah, 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 blah. This is information only, it costs us nothing to run. She's volunteered to just maintain it. If they want to FOIA it, have at it, because it'll be safe.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that we're not hiding anything, it's all out there pretty
It's all
open.
information.
So everything gets sent out blind copy because it's really not anybody else's business who everybody's emailing. And that's why we did that too. We didn't want people to be spammed. They didn't want somebody to get, 50 email addresses and go, ooh, I can sell my Avon to all these people now, or,
Well, that's
so
not
that's
happening
why.
now, right?
Oh, it's not, no, and I send everything blind copy, so it's not happening now. It's been pretty clear that that's not what it's there for. And I really haven't been, even like my sister, she'll get, and she's forwarded things to me or called me on things, she'll get a lot of, oh, there was this car driving erratically down my street, and Lieutenant Contro, he emails me periodically, we stay in touch. He's very adamant that if there's something that concerns you, call it in. We are not a first responder. I don't want you emailing me going, there's a red pickup truck driving erratically down my street. If it concerns you, you should be dialing 911 or calling it in. And then send me an email or call me upon that you've learned it was not a threat, it was a threat, it was something that we need to watch for or whatever. So he's pretty adamant about that. So that was, I like the idea of having a township email address because it takes the personalness of me out of it. People aren't having access, obviously, to my personal email either. Not that it's been an issue, but it also shows, I think, that we are working closely together and that the township as a whole is concerned with those types of things and those.
Are we gonna get phone calls to the township though?
I
It's the same things that you're
would
getting?
hope not, because it's not really out there that way. I mean, if people have expressed an interest, I do have some elderly folks that have found me, know who I am because they've seen my name on it, and obviously we do business in the area. So I have people that have sought me out and said, you know what, I don't email. And I'll be like, you know what, if you give me your phone number, I'll be happy. When I send an email, I'll shoot you a text. But even that, I've urged them to, do you have a daughter, do you have a son, do you have somebody that emails? And most of the time, they eventually give me a son or a daughter's email address, and we're in the loop that way. So I try to keep it just email. I don't really want to. Lieutenant Contro has given me information about how to do it via Facebook, how to set up texting stuff. I don't want this to become a full-time job. It's not what I do. So I really don't want to get that involved in it. If anybody else would want to take over and expand this into anything else, I would work side by side along with somebody. But right now, I think the email is a quick and an easy way to reach a lot of people in a short period of time when there's something that we need to be watching.
Diane, how many people are on your email list?
I don't know. I should have looked that up with my luck. But I don't
Over
know.
50?
I would say right around 50.
Okay, and we have 50 likes on our Facebook page, so, I mean, whatever she sends out, I could duplicate and put on Facebook as well, be aware, yada yada, type of stuff. And I think that at the bottom of it, in big letters, you would always put, if there's an emergency, call 911, do not call the township. You always have that on the bottom of it.
Right.
It's just a standard thing that's,
I've been
like
a
a
little
signature that's always
cautious
gonna
about
be
the
on the
whole
bottom.
Facebook thing because I didn't want this to turn into a huge public forum, which sometimes it tends to be. You put something on Facebook and somebody's gonna comment on it and somebody else is, oh yeah, I saw that same truck, oh yeah, I did, and then it becomes, but I guess if you don't care, if you just kind of let it run willy-nilly and it all washes out eventually, as long as we don't
Yeah, and I'm
really
not
make
saying we
a
have to do
stand
that.
one
It's
way
just-
or the other.
I just like the fact that when I get the emails, it's nice to know what's going on in the township. And I mean, even if there's stuff going on in the village, you can still tell people in the village, if it seems suspicious, call it in, and maybe the people on the west side of town,
You don't hear what's going on.
don't hear what's going on the east side of town, and they could
Yeah.
be next. Sometimes it does come from Peatone and works this way, typically
There
not.
is one on the west side, apparently, there is like a crime watch, I believe Judy Ogala is,
Out of
in
Monique's
some
doing
of
it.
that,
Mhm.
yeah, out of those areas. So, there's something in that area too,
So the question here is, do we think it's a good idea? Is it worth using a township email address for information only? I told Diane, if people send her information, if they start asking questions, she doesn't have to answer any questions. She can forward them to me and I'll be happy to make those phone calls. What are you doing? Why are you doing? Whatever that is. And then maybe you might get some good information that you don't have either. I don't know.
You're right.
But I could put it in a newsletter that the township is considering this, even if, and Diana said, if you want to put it in a newsletter, go ahead and use my name and my email address, because if they want to be on my crime watch little list, the more the merrier. And then they can call her and ask her questions, and now, we send out 3,000 newsletters, just
Right.
FYI,
Well,
so
that's
if
why-
you get 3 or 4 or 10 calls.
That's fine, I mean, I like the idea of putting it in a little blurb in the, because the more people that are out there looking for things, that, I mean, I don't want to discourage anybody from sending something, like I had a new home being built, they supposedly scared somebody off that was probably going to get into that new home and probably steal some stuff. Those kinds of things, that's fine, that we should be on the lookout for that stuff. Obviously, you're not gonna call the cops on stuff like that because it's already done and over with and there's no point making a report because nothing was taken. So, but it's good to just, like you say, have that information that's out there and that those kinds of things are happening.
So you get a lot of people emailing you then, the
I
information? How do you get the information?
I really don't. People that know us, we get a phone call, and that kind of stuff, but I really don't get a ton of stuff. When somebody, this spring when all those robberies first happened, it started in Indiana, and I knew those people, so I started getting those phone calls. Well then, slowly as the morning went on, I started getting more and more phone calls, and we pieced it together that it had started about 11 o'clock at night over on State Line, and worked its way across, you know, all the way into
So it's
our
by
area.
phone then, people have been calling you?
Those were,
'Cause
yes.
I'm just wondering if it's
One was via an email, and one of them, it was an older couple that called me.
because if it's a township email address, I don't know, if it would be your name and then at Washington Township, IL?
Actually,
I'm just
we
wondering if
thought
people would
about
try calling here.
No,
But
well,
how
that's
do
not,
you
and
get on your list nowadays? If a person.
Well, at first, it started with the meeting, it started with the meeting when we did it at a
Right,
schoolhouse. Anybody that was in Illinois put their name and email
Yeah,
address
I'm
on a
on
piece of
your-
paper.
I'm on
Then we did it here, and people could add to
Okay, and
it,
it was
so.
done here and that's how
Right, and now,
that is.
and now it's just been like by word of mouth, like I'll get somebody that'll email me and say, I'm already on your list, my neighbor would like to be added, here's their email address and their information.
Well, I was
And
just trying to
it's
figure
expanding
out.
from that.
Right, but you got like 50 now. Joe, you said your newsletter's 3,000. You go out to 3,000.
that's everybody in the
people.
township, yeah.
Okay, but I mean, I'm not sure what you're wanting and what we're talking about here, how we're gonna back it, but your little email thing could turn into 1,500.
I
And you don't have your
know.
phone
I don't
number or
think-
anything on here?
No, I don't.
No.
And I don't think that the numbers.
It's a good idea.
Well, I think it's a good
Yeah,
idea,
I
but
don't
I
think
mean.
that the
it
numbers
could-
make any
it could-
difference, because I add them one at a time, and if I'm sending, it's still one, it's a folder in my thing that's called Crime Watch, everybody's name and everything is in there. Lieutenant Control has said that, first of all, when people send you information, I need to verify that they do live in the township, because these could be the thieves infiltrating
Right.
our stuff. So my first thing is when somebody gives me their name and their address is for me to verify that they live. Most everybody that's on my list, I know, and I know that they live where they're telling me that they live. If I'm concerned with that, there's avenues for me to throw that out there and to double check that they actually live where they're being. You know, so if you give me a name and an address, I'm like, I don't really know who that is, I would say, you wanna
Right.
let me know for sure that they live there, are you backing this person? Or I can pursue that even farther, or contact Lieutenant Control and go, I've got these people that say they're in my township, or this, now that we're working together, this is something I could call Joe and say, hey, I got these people, are they really in our township? You would know also based on your mailing addresses. So I think it gives us a little bit more checks and balances to work back and forth. Plus, if I'm unavailable, I could let Joe know that, I'm gonna be unavailable to monitor for the next 7 days or something. Can you monitor it in case something comes in, or, gives me some backup, I guess.
If we could use Washington Township, it seems less like a, what do you call it, a vigilante group.
Right, it seems, it's less personal, it seems more organized and more, government backed. If you have a concern with the email address, Mike, I'm fine with just leaving it as mine. I really have not had any issues.
No,
But
it's not that, it's just
if it
that
gets
I can just
bigger,
see,
there
I don't
could
know
be.
when you get these phone calls, like, do you get them at 10 o'clock at night? Or
No, I got them in the morning that they had been broken into. I mean, the
Oh.
last one was like, when that happened in the spring, we got the, well, it was Mike Woods, and it was, Steve Smith's, in-laws that lived back there. So Steve called me in the morning and said, hey, but it all happened 11, 12, 1,
Right.
2 o'clock in the morning, but they waited till the morning to call me and let me know what the police report said. And like I said, I had already been getting the phone calls earlier that morning from the Indiana side, so we pieced together a timeline, and then I could put it into an email stating that, apparently at 11 p.m. it started, on the state line and
Right.
progressed.
And
to-
I want, you know, let's say that people do start calling it township, and then Teresa, I don't know how that information would then get related back to you.
Well, there's an easy way to do that, those phone calls get forwarded to me. Just send them to me.
Well, as long as we have a plan in place, so that
I
it
mean,
doesn't sit on her desk for 2 days.
Teresa doesn't have time to do that.
Right, she
but,
doesn't.
I mean, whenever we get an email, we automatically, or whenever we get a phone call, we get an email. So I know immediately that I've got a voicemail on my phone, and I always check them as soon as I can, as soon as I have an opportunity to
Okay.
do that. I can forward that information to Diane. So the last thing we wanted to do is put her phone number out there. I got no problem with it coming to my phone. And if it's a handful of phone calls, when the newsletter goes out, if it's 100 phone calls, I'll field 100 phone calls. If it's gonna keep somebody from getting broken into or
Right.
robbed, I got no problem with that.
I just want to have Teresa have an extra burden. I mean,
She can just forward it to forward it to me. And,
I think it's good the public is aware of this, because like I said, I didn't even know about last night or 2 weeks ago.
Neither did we, so
first
we
I
just
heard
found
about
out
it.
this morning,
Board's
so.
got it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I sent the email this afternoon, you know.
I
Again, and that was-
People in the
Now,
township to
everything
be
just
aware.
comes from.
And again, that was that, we know them, so I mean, Tank was calling Barry at, 7 o'clock this morning to let him know, and then I followed up with a phone call later to him, after you're done meeting with the police and everything else, then give me some basics, and I always, I ask how much he wants me to put out there, what he wants me to keep private, if there's certain things that the cops would prefer not to be out there. So my email was very vague, it was a home on Brunswick Road near the state
Yeah.
line. I don't put anybody's name or anything else, everybody can figure it out on their own, but those who are not in this area that might get that are not really gonna know who that is, if somebody were to be on our email list.
So the only email address that will show up would be yours.
that would be the
We-
township.
It'd be
Yeah, right.
like-
Or the township.
Or-
Right.
What I'm
Yeah.
saying is John Q.
Right,
Citizen
right.
wouldn't be emailing anything out to everybody else.
No,
The other members.
there's no
of the-
contact
Right.
list that's after. the-
Right, that, I
Right.
just want to make sure of that.
Right,
I might be able to set this up where you can't even reply to this email address.
Well, I get-
I don't, so.
You have a
I
high-
think
I'm
if
just
you
saying,
want, yeah,
if it
if you
becomes-
want to
if it
reply, I
becomes
got
an
like
issue.
6 replies after sending this one out, and most of them are, thanks for the update, thanks for the info, good, good to know,
Yeah.
So
Now,
most of them are just a thank you for the,
You might get somebody response, say, hey, you know what, at 2 o'clock in the morning, I
right,
seen a blue Chevy truck
Right.
leaving the.
Yeah, and
leaving
that's
the
not necessarily
property.
something she needs to put out in an email,
Right.
but it might be something that's helpful during the investigation, where she can say, why don't you call, I mean, she's not the investigator, call 911, thanks for calling me, but
well,
call
don't call
911.
911, please,
And you're
'cause
open- you're
we're
open with
mandated to go there.
information.
but I
Well, call
have
the
to put
town.
a control
Call the
in my list too, so when people reply to that stuff, I can make sure that he, that he gets that same information. Hey, I've got a couple of people, houses down from there, that said this is what they saw at 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't know if it's helpful or not, and he can pass it out to, the investigating officer, so.
It's a program that the township can consider offering that's no cost per se, gets information out to the public. I'm willing to help, Diane's willing to help. I don't know what the downside is at this point in time, it could be WT Crime Watch.
See, I don't see any downside to this if it's just her or the township sending out an email, because you can't get any viruses, and that's what I worry about on my computers. So if it's just the two of you,
It would be,
Sending
it could be
information
Crime
out,
Watch at
obviously it's clean.
WashingtonTownship.com, that could be the email address, and when it pops up, you know what it is.
Right.
It's
And I
for the
still
township.
sign it, I always say Diane, people, I've got nothing to hide, I don't care that people know that I do it, I'm not trying to hide from it, I like that, and I appreciate that, you guys are, behind it, I just think it looks good. I don't, like I said, it looks less vigilante or whatever, it looks like we're.
Oh,
we're-
okay, I can see that.
Yeah, it
that you're-
looks like we're
because you're
kind of
having-
in
And
a
instead
community,
of,
so.
set it up like once a year, you'd have, like you had the meeting before with the sheriff.
No, we
here.
could do that, or
And
twice,
once
whenever
a
you
year.
want.
I have had people ask, because there were people that didn't attend that, and I have had people ask about possibly
Can I
doing
ask
that again, so it,
what was the response from the sheriff's department, Lieutenant Contra? What feeling did you get out of him?
do you want me to be really honest?
Yes,
Are
I
we
do, because I
being-
know
Yeah, we're on
that.
camera.
I know that
His,
television.
email to me the next day was basically apologizing for it turning fairly political. So, And I just told him that it was not his fault, so, and, you know, it was what it was, but,
Okay.
that's not how it was.
But he's willing to assist you.
He's, oh yeah,
He was
oh yeah,
positive,
oh
it
yeah,
wasn't,
there,
oh,
no,
here's a
he's
pain.
willing, he would be willing to
Okay.
do it again, and, Taylor, Sergeant Taylor, she was really good, she was willing to do it again. I think it took a little bit of a political spin towards the end, and, it was hard to.
You mean the one that was here or the one that was in Indiana?
The one that was
It was
here,
here.
it was hard to rein it back in, so I think if we were to do it again, it would be, you know, to try to not let it turn that way.
Well,
I think if you do, I think the township offers a platform. We have the space, we have the people, we have the means to get the communication out. I can put things in the paper through the township, I can put things in the newsletter depending on when it's going on. I have a website that I can put it on, a scrolling bar on the website. There's gonna be a crime watch meeting. So it gives us an opportunity to get words out when we wanna have a meeting. When we do have a meeting, it doesn't have to be a board meeting, but a representative from the township could moderate the meeting to keep it from getting out of hand. You're off topic, we're talking about crime watch, not about why doesn't the police come, why are there only 2 squad cars? And I'm assuming that's probably the direction it went, because I missed it.
It just got opened up to questions, and then it even went into as far as, you know, applying for your licensing to be able to carry your
Right,
carry
yeah,
on.
concealed carry
And
was a lot of
conceal it,
fun.
and how you
Yeah.
could do all of that, and the logistics pertaining, it got a little, like, I just don't think that most of the people that came to that
Interested in
meeting
that.
were interested in a lot of the stuff that was,
So
brought
anyway,
out that evening.
you know, we can leave it on the agenda another month. I will definitely put something in the newsletter
Right.
to contact Diane if you guys want to think about it. And
Well, right now is when all these break-ins are gonna start happening again. So I think we should just
Forward.
do it.
Yeah.
Now, if I give you a list of deputies that don't live in the township, but we don't hear what's actually going on, we find out when we go to other calls, would you be willing to put them on that list so they can hear what's going on? Since we
If
can't get
they-
it internally?
If they wanna be on that list,
Yeah,
absolutely,
okay.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Joe, I'll help you with it too, whatever
okay,
we can. I'm out on the road quite a bit, I do hear.
yeah, I'm just always amazed at where she gets her information from, and it's right, it's vague, but it's also very to the point. This happened, this happened. They're taking these. Lately, it's been outbuildings and motorized vehicles and things of that
It
nature.
is, yeah.
You know, and not homes so much. But that could turn tomorrow.
Well, it could, and we did have the one, home that the Adams, is it the Adams, is that the
Yeah,
last name?
Gary Adams.
That was,
He
yeah,
got guns stolen and
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff.
Oh,
a
really?
lot of
They did?
stuff.
Yep.
He was, yeah, on vacation and,
When did this
yeah.
happen?
It was this spring,
Yep.
early this spring, yeah.
See, I would have emailed would have known.
You know,
Yeah.
Now, could you, I'm sure you would do this for us, but like, some people think this is still the country, so they leave the keys in the car, they leave the car unlocked. Could you, or would you be willing to put things like, for personal security, you should lock everything up?
it's
It's
there all
on,
the
it's on
time.
every
You don't-
email, every
you
time I
don't
put it
get
out there,
email
it's a
tomorrow.
little reminder
It's on
to,
every email.
yeah,
Oh,
it's got
Yeah.
pull keys, check your motion detectors, driveway sensors, I don't know what everything I put on there, now's the time to make sure everything that you have is working and lock the buildings. That was what the meeting was about, they did give some really good information about blocking things in, and that was what happened like this spring, when they failed, I mean, they hit like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attempts, starting at 11, going all the way until, they failed at every one, based on alarms or sensors going off, or just inability to get, having to work way too hard to get to, and then by then, you know, had aroused something, you know. And so I think a lot of those people took to heart that information, so. See, that's what you need, is that's what you need.
Couple of dogs.
A couple times you could.
Open a can.
I bring my dog down, staying out in the country.
I say we do it. I say the sooner the better.
I agree,
Yeah.
I agree. This can
But I
only
have
be
been
positive.
cautioned of putting anybody, I mean, I don't know how closely you like work with the village, but I have been cautioned as to not really, I mean, we are, you know, we're
not village
unincorporated and
crime,
we
right?
need to
It's
stay
country
that way,
crime.
that's how that functions, that, you know, we are Washington Township, and that's where, you know, like I have one person in Crete that runs the Crete one, she's on my list and we share information, and, but I don't want her whole list, and she doesn't get my whole list. you know, that's why it works, because it stays fairly controlled and it is all very neighborhood.
So what
Right,
happens if
so-
somebody from town wants to be on the list? You're gonna say, no?
You-
Because if it's gonna be in a township newsletter, it goes out to everybody in town too.
Beecher is part of Washington Township.
Right, but
The
it's,
same
it
people that
tends to
did
be
out in
unincorporated.
Township.
That was how he told me to present the meeting, so this is something maybe I could run by him, but that was how he told me to present the meeting, to not put, because the village is controlled by the village police. That's totally different than our protocols and, you know, where we call and what we do. That's how come when they came out here, they didn't want to present to or have a
But-
conflict of interest
They
with.
call still 911 no matter who they call.
Correct, right,
I mean, I
yeah.
talked with the incident today, I went and talked to the chief of police, and he knew about it already, but he
Okay.
didn't know a lot of the details. That's, you probably, you know, and I think it would be a great thing to let the village in on it, because
We're here to serve our
the whole-
taxpayers.
the whole taxpayers and
Well,
the
that's
people in
something we
town.
have constantly said, there needs to be some
And after,
sharing
and
because,
if something happens in the
yeah.
village, the township people should know about it
Right.
too, if they have a rash of burglaries in town. I mean, it's not secret stuff because they put it on the big.
It's in the blotter.
It's on,
So
yeah.
there's nothing secret about
Yeah.
it, it's just, you know, I would say it would have to be, for us to do it, it'd have to be every,
It's kind of, yeah.
you can't just say, well, can't be just.
We can only report the information that we have reported to
Right.
us, right?
Right.
So if somebody wants to report something from the village, we would put it in there. What would be the downside? It's all public information.
They're all part of the township.
It's all part of the township.
If that's, she's okay with, I mean, that, because I can't see us.
It sounds like it's gonna be a big burden on you if this takes off.
You know what, I guess we'll see how it goes, but right now, like I said, it really hasn't, nobody has abused it once it was put up. I don't get like, my neighbor's dog is barking, would somebody call that in? I mean, we don't get weird things, and we get genuine, you know, there was a break-in or a genuine concern of something, and, you know, I did have somebody that came and found me up at Most Vegan Gardens, the one day, and she lives in this area, and, she had like, this same pickup truck appeared to be stopped on her road several nights for long periods of time, and she was, you know, concerned and everything, and I just said to her, you gotta call it in, you know? Well, she said, well, I took a ride down there one day and just drove by slow, and I'm like, you wanna do that? You're an elderly woman all by yourself, what good is that gonna do? You know, it's like, just call it in, have a cop do a drive-by and just say, you know, knock on the guy's window and go, what are you doing here? Run a plate. You know, that's what they're there for, so I don't know if she ever did. I never put that out on the email because there was really nothing to report at that point, you know what I mean? So, and that's what I said to her, I said, well, that stuff I can't just put out there on the email, there's a red pickup truck parked on such and such a street, you know, 3 nights in a row, until you know that there's something to worry about. That's why, you know, you urge people, call it in, have it checked out, have a plate run, whatever. And then call me and say, you know, what's the issue, and then we'll put that out there, so,
I'll call Bob Barber tomorrow, just to get his feel for it.
okay.
Well, he's gonna say that they have that next toll, whatever.
They
it's
do.
called, Right?
Yeah,
Right, so.
Nixle, yeah.
Nixle.
So,
I
but I
did
mean,
that,
this is
so, yeah.
over and above that.
But I'm on that too,
Yeah.
so,
But I haven't seen anything on the country break-ins on Nixle. I saw,
No, there's
you know,
not.
Route 1 is
Yeah, because
closed
the gas
and,
leak and.
right.
yeah, and things of that nature, but I haven't seen anything about burgers. This is totally different in my mind.
So we get in the newsletter, is that what we're
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, absolutely.
Which is coming out,
Be out, hopefully be mailed in the last week of October.
So Diane needs to do an article for it?
No, I'll take care of it.
Come on, let her get involved in this.
I'll write it, let her read it, and if she's got it, she can take it, you know.
okay.
Will you have a different email address at that point, or just so I'm prepared?
Gosh, I hope,
Okay,
I hope.
okay, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna call Brad
Okay.
tomorrow and tell him we need to get it done as soon as possible. And if we can't do this, what is today, the 6th? If we can't have it done by the time the newsletter go out, because he was ready to go, because he called me the other day and said, what's going on? I said, well, the rules have changed, so I need to just double check with the board before I say yeah to 800 or 900 bucks.
Okay,
So, okay, thanks, Diane.
thank you.
I'll let you guys finish.
Well, it gets really exciting now.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Gears
know.
up now.
This is probably where all the food and beer and everything.
If you didn't bring a beer, it ain't coming.
Oh, sorry for that.
All right, so we're on consideration approval of 2014 levy ordinance.
you wanna jump to WTPC, Rex?
Oh, well, we can, like, I mean, we didn't have anything, so.
No.
Okay. No. The levy ordinance. The levy is due by the end of December. Based on, I sent everybody the worksheets that I've done year over year. And people talk about the assessed evaluation, and the township EAV, and multipliers, and all that other stuff. But the bottom line here is that your levy extension is based on the history of the previous year. It has nothing to do with, at this point in time, the market's down and the market's up today. It's what your levy extension was last year, and it's based off of that number. And the CPI, which is 1.5%, and your new property also affects that information. And that's how it's determined. It's a little formula in the box there, is, though it's complicated, it's really, that's how it's done. So over the last 6, 8, 9 years, you can see that what we estimated it at and what it came in is probably not more than a couple $1,000. You know, we do a really, really good job of coming close to what we think the actual levy is going to be. And this was based on time that I spent with Kim Reading, who was the guru when it came to this, and we worked together to get this sheet out. So the bottom line here is that for the village, I'm sorry, for the road district, is estimated revenue this year is $855,295. Last year, we estimated 837, and it came in at 839. We levied last year at the road district $862,306, which is still more than the estimated revenue for this year. So my point is, Jerry could levy the exact same amount this year that he did last year, and he may get more money, it may be the same. It just depends. It just depends.
So what percent?
It's 1.85% and 1.86%. So if you guys say, you know what, make it 2%, it's 2%. That's the lowest, other than a zero that we had election year, 2 years, and let's be honest, it was election year 2 years ago when we did a zero. We've never levied anything 2% or below before, except for last year. It's always been, I mean, the numbers, you can see the numbers along the
16,
side.
9,
In 2004, 12%, 2005, 14, 16. But at that time, the construction boom was going on, and, you know, the new construction was just going out, it was out of control. But since 1998, we've never levied anything under, until 2009, 5%, and 4.75, 4.75, 0, and 2. And the bottom line here, guys, is that a 1.86% is $6,000 increase over $144 million of assessed evaluation. It's pennies. But that's your call. I'm just telling you what the numbers say. You have to decide what percentage. You tell me what the percentage you want it to be. I'll prepare the levy ordinance, and you can vote on it next month, and we can get this thing put to bed really quick.
This is just for the road district.
This is for the, and the well as the town account. It's both are 1.85, 1.86%. It also includes, the town account will also include the community building. And insurance fund, all the funds that roll into the corporate account, insurance, town, and be corporate actually, GA, and community building are all rolled into that amount.
So we did 2% last year,
Mhm.
and we're so close to 2%, we could theoretically do 2%.
Yeah, I would recommend 2%.
Well, why not 1.99? I mean, just,
Anything under 5% doesn't require a hearing.
right,
But to say 4.75 is waste, because I know it's not gonna be that much.
right.
You know, the numbers say it's gonna be 1.85%, and if we're off by percentage, it is what it is. So,
And if we did 2.0, 1.99, 2.01, it's still the amount levied, the actual extension is not our call.
that's correct. the actual, what the county is gonna do is basically this. And if we say we're looking at the town count is 364,000 is the estimated revenue, and we estimate, we levy 366,000, which is what we levied last year, we're still gonna get 364. Because that, but if we say we don't want that, if we say, no, we wanna lower the levy, we wanna go under 364, it'll be under 364.
Yeah.
You know, in Jerry's case, it cost him how much a mile, Jerry, to fix a road? Township?
Township is $12,000.
$12,000 a mile. He's gonna pick up $15,000 at 2%. That's a mile of roads. To just leave that on the table, it's his call. I'm just giving you the numbers.
Well, prime example, I mean, just what was your inflation rate?
1.5.
So, I mean, you're not even gaining on inflation on the rest of, I mean, my salt, we just have this, some knowledge. My salt last year was $59 a ton. It's $135 this year a ton. And that's state bid price.
It went from $59 to $135.
$135.
That's a good price.
And I called all different states because I thought Illinois was screwing me. Because I don't trust it.
It's closer to 200 now, is it? Salt? Really
So
close?
on the open market, you can't even get it on the open market.
I've heard over 200,
200? It's over 200.
185,
So that 2%
200.
isn't.
Oh, it's not even, yeah,
He ain't gonna do anything for it, he needs to go higher.
But, you
it
know,
ain't gonna get no more,
when you
so.
say inflation alone,
Yeah.
we're actually falling behind.
Yes,
But
at
it's
2%,
just-
he's just getting half.
But it, yeah,
So for him to even stay close to being even would be 3.5.
Yeah, but you're not gonna get it.
You won't get it.
You won't get it. You can put that
The
number
most
anywhere
you're
you
gonna
want.
get is probably what's on this piece
Yeah.
of paper.
So it don't matter what you put it at, it's what you're gonna get.
get what, 2 point, where, 1 point, no, that's
No, right here, this is the estimated revenue.
Oh, I mean, how much you're gonna get.
And then right here is about in the yellow box, you have a different color, but 1.85% is the increase.
Yeah. Based on 855.
16%.
Yeah.
What did does the school board or anything get, Paul?
Haven't heard yet.
I mean, I guarantee you there'll be taxing districts in this township that will say 10%, 12%. They just put the number out there. And they'll have to have a hearing, and it doesn't make sense to do that, because
You're not gonna get
get
it.
it.
Anyways.
So why open yourself up to a hearing?
And for example, then in the town account, the estimated revenue of 364, again, that's based on the net EAV, that's the formula up here. The 358 is what is last year's actual revenue. And what's the 146?
That's the EAV.
Oh, that's the EAV guy,
Mhm.
okay. Then, oh, and what about Carol's appeals? Anything substantial? 'Cause
It
she had some
doesn't-
real big numbers last year.
This is money that we're gonna levy for, in 2014 for 2015.
And where did you get the new property estimate of 500?
Carol,
That's,
she said it was only 250, she said it could be 500 by the end of the year.
she's pretty good with that.
Oh, yeah.
She said they've been doing a lot of growing. A lot of houses.
Well, that's not a lot, really, that's.
It's not sold, this is new property. This is-
Or additions,
yeah.
or whatever.
Not that many.
And I guess I could put $1 million in there and the number doesn't change but just a few $100. It's not until you put 10 million, 8 million, when you put a lot of money in there, and that CPI has an impact on it as well. But that's how it all shakes out, so. And I say, this is the formula I've used since by 2001, and you can see the estimated revenue is based off of this sheet, and then what we levy, what the actual extension was. So you see we're pretty close, all the way along the line.
Road district would go to with Joe's rec.
These are 2%, for para levy at 2%.
Yeah.
So I think we should do the same 2%.
I will put para levy at 2%.
So when people complain about we're raising their taxes, the reality of it is, we're just trying to hold.
We're not raising the taxes.
No, we're not. Well, we increased it by $7,000, which is peanuts. And to to continue to provide the services at the same amount of money, we should at least equal inflation rate, which we're becoming more and more frugal as we move forward, because there's effectively less and less dollars, even though it's a slight increase, it's really not. Like you're saying, inflation is eating away at that way faster than we're replacing it. And hopefully, the EVA will, in whatever, continues to increase and make up the difference.
But I mean, if you look at the little, this piece of paper with the actual EAV, you can see that in 2008, our EAV was $175 million. It's now down to 144.
Yeah, so I think we weathered the storm, you know. I mean, still continue to move down, but
We've lost $31 million in EAV since 2008.
yeah.
And we've been able to maintain the level of services and still keep the bus running and,
Sure. And is Boltfield part of that?
No,
well,
Township.
Oh, they're, yeah. But the other
Yeah,
The other farmland.
that farmland's
figured
been
in
gone,
there.
but that farmland's been gone for years.
Well, they've been buying here and there.
Yeah, but I mean, the bulk of it was gone 4 years, 5 years ago.
And the community building does what we do, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And they raised their, where did I see that?
We levy for them.
60,000.
Okay.
Do we need a motion, or we just?
No, we just need approval of the levy ordinance next month, and what I'll do is it's a 2% increase, I'll add that, all in the agenda, we just put it in the agenda, we'll go on next month and be done with it. So,
Okay, should we pay bills?
So, before we do that,
Okay.
the reports that prepared.
Darryl?
the budget reports?
Yeah. Is this gonna be a monthly report?
Mhm.
Generating?
Well, it's not monthly, it's year to date, it's always gonna be year to date.
But he'll come out, and he'll do it every month.
Right,
Yeah.
but it's not a month by month
Right.
report. There are some coding errors that I found in here that we need to correct. It's not a big deal, but there's a few coding errors that need to be corrected.
And there's some variances. What was that? What is the reconciliation statement? Why we, if we're balancing, why we have variance? Where that's $5,000, $2,000?
On the bank balance and the fund balance are variance because of clear checks and things of that
Oh, I just
nature.
think they have it clear,
Mhm.
okay. So what is the, okay, I got it.
They're never gonna sync.
Right.
They could, I think, technically, if our meetings are in the middle of the month, you could tie them together easier. But with the meeting being on like the 1st or the 2nd, and the statement doesn't come out to the 31st, there's not time to balance it all out.
If we were gonna look at the transportation budget, what happened to that? General assistance. Community building, oh, no, where did I see that?
This one?
I thought he,
Are you looking at the fund balance report, or are you looking at the actual budgets?
I'm looking at the profit and loss. I'm trying to get a picture of where transportation stands this time of year, I mean, right now. Yeah, here, revenue. On page 1 and 2, profit and loss budget performance. So as an example, from April to September, we've collected $10,000 in ride donations,
That's correct.
correct? And the budget, is that from September, August through September, or is that the annual
The
budget?
budget is what we budgeted for in
That's the yearly,
June.
that's the yearly.
That's what the
budget.
board said, this is our budget, so you could be over budget or under budget on revenue and expenses.
That's an annual budget, and this is
Yes.
a 6-month budget.
This is,
So we're way ahead on collecting ride donations, correct?
well, we're April through September, so we have October, November, December, January, February, March, yeah, we're 5 months, yeah, we're ahead.
Yeah,
we're ahead.
and,
But we could be behind on the grants.
right, well, we seem to be. So the gross profit, and like, for instance, when we put a grant budgeted amount, is that something we've agreed, that we've signed off on, or is that a,
It's based on history,
huh?
all based on history,
That's not hypothetical.
based on history. Our grant from NEIA is $70,000 a year.
That's not the Council of Aging.
That is
It is.
counseling, it's just in a different spot,
Oh, because that's why the Council of Aging is zero?
yes.
Okay,
That needs to drop down into grants
Right.
other.
okay.
I need to look at the budget. Daryl entered this, and I'm sure it's correct. I just haven't compared it to the budget. I'm sure it's correct. It's coding as well. You know, we coded this as council on aging when it probably should have went into grants. So now all of a sudden you'd be $40,000 out of $70,000, and you only have, you'd still have a $34,000 variance. You just wouldn't have a 35 over and a 70 under.
Right.
I say there are some coding issues. Easy fixes.
Well, and then on line 305, intergovernmental funding,
That should all be in line 305 on the bottom.
well, yeah, it is, it's 48,000, we received zero.
We received $19,800.
Oh, I see that, all that, okay, we're combining those, I get you. Okay.
And
All
keep
right.
in mind that Crete and, who else? Pito? No, Crete and Will. They get a bill from us, I think quarterly, not monthly. So they square up with us quarterly.
Well, I think it's important that the board remembers that this is a moving target. That if something happened or didn't happen, this could slip quickly away from us. We need to be watching. Our budget's set, we don't exceed it, but this is kind of an open window that, you know, we don't pay attention to.
Hey, Mike, has Moni said anything about coming back?
No, they won't come back.
Well,
I reached out to them more than once.
even though people are complaining?
Their answer is, we'll write.
Okay. All right, that's what I wanted to know. And then, again, we expect this monthly.
Yes. So the next one will be April to October 14th.
Right. I mean, not monthly, I mean,
Every month, year to date.
year-to-date month.
I'll try to get these coding things cleared up by then.
Well, it's new. I mean, I would expect there'd be some.
We've been doing this for years. Tom always put this in, we just didn't get it in this year. And Daryl put it in and he charged for it because he said it was beneficial, just as beneficial for him as it was for us. Because he kind of gives an idea of where the township's at.
Just one other question. In general assistance, we're keeping our money at Parkway Bank?
Yes. But it's completely inconvenient. Even though everything's electronic now, it's in Orland Park, so in order for me to get that money transferred over to a local bank, I have to go there. The only time I get to go there is a Saturday, and sometimes that's difficult.
Okay.
But the intent is to move that money. We're not doing the prepaid cards anymore, they don't even want to do it with us anymore. It's not profitable for them, it's not profitable for us. The money, you know, all the tax or the reimbursements that come from the property taxes, it goes right to Parkway, and that's why that balance is like it is.
All right, I got no more questions. At least on that.
And to show the payroll burden, we had that last one too.
Yeah, that's great. What's the, Shavix, is that like vacation time, or he's got 36 hours of overtime?
Yeah, he has cash.
He's got cash in it.
Yeah.
He loves working for the township. He
When he
doesn't
Take time away.
But again, he has some downtime too.
So you just log it, you
Yeah,
need to pay
right,
it.
right.
Comp time or whatever.
It's all on the, from every, when I first took office, it's all on the calendar.
And just out of curiosity, why does Mike get two different rates? Why is that?
You know, I also believe,
Huh?
you know,
Oh, I see, that would be OT.
I think, I don't know.
Yeah, it would be time and a half.
Yeah.
That would be-
Yeah, so that would be the 24/75
Right.
times
Right.
3 hours.
Right.
And that wasn't for putting the flagpole up, right?
What's the thing on the top of the flagpole?
Dump truck.
Wow, that's what I thought. Okay.
Okay, that's it, enough said.
Do we need a motion on the dump truck?
Did we?
Should we?
The pole came with it.
Was it used, was it,
Brand new.
When my guy donated it, I didn't know anything about it. I'm waiting for it to fall. It's locked up there, but we got a ball for it too.
okay, whatever.
Okay, so we pay bills now?
Payment of bills, sure.
We'll do this one first.
Can I see 6380?
Which one you doing?
What town?
Oh, road and bridge.
Which one?
Hardware, Beecher Hardware.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I think that was concrete mix, right?
No, that's mine. This is mine. So I built yours.
Oh, that was built to the township? Okay,
Oh, here.
nuts and bolts, fasteners.
Pretzels.
What? Pretzels, yeah.
Okay.
This last month, I'll pay your bill because they put Mike Smith on your account for, it just, when we go in there and we say Washington Township, we don't specify
Oh.
road district. Yours comes up first and you put one on your free state clock. So,
Okay.
And I ask this every month, the difference between Surfair Wireless and Verizon Wireless?
it's internet for,
Are we-
one is internet.
Are we gonna bundle all that when we get our new phones?
No,
Oh, they're separate.
I don't want Comcast.
When do we? Right now, we're stuck.
Tracy, I'm trying to figure out how we can use the Comcast when you're down. I mean, use my Surfair when I'm down. She's down, but she can have internet.
Can run it over?
And we have Surfair because of the fuel system. That's all really on internet.
Yeah. How is that working, by the way?
Good, real good. The fuel secretary at the village is really on top of it. There's auditing steps involved, and it's really working out well. Because she can control everything from the village on this,
Oh, really?
yeah.
Wow.
Make a motion to accept the road and bridge account.
For dollar amount?
Dollar amount $38,764.13.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Paul?
Yes.
Mike Mack?
Yes, sir.
Ed?
Yes.
Mike Seola?
Yep.
Mark?
Yes.
And look at, we got the town account, we also have the GA account too. We have to, let me just look at the GA right now. I mean, there's two items. The first one was $245. The second one, which was a general assistance, the other one is emergency assistance, and that was for $558.50, for a total of $803.80. Is there a motion?
I'll motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All right, discussion?
Ted,
Yes.
Mike Mack,
Yes.
Mike Savoy,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Paul.
Yes.
Okay, now we can go to the town.
So can we look at 3899, it's the dollar thing, I know we talked about it, I just like to see what. In your estimation, Mike, is that amount
It's,
is much higher than?
well, it's compiled into one number.
Oh, that's right.
But and he's got a pretty detailed
He is
invoice
really detailed.
of what exactly he does, how long it takes him to get here, and all that.
He puts a whole description of everything that he does.
No work, sure. You make it a little briefer, you save some money.
It's total transparency, you know exactly what the man's doing.
And he actually was here when he says 9 and 3 o'clock?
Yeah. And he's roughly here every 2 weeks.
He's gonna get to the point where he's here just, 4 or 5 hours a month, and then he
Right.
does the monthly reports.
Do you think that's what eventually gets?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that audit is a lot of work. He's getting that audit stuff taken care of. Now, he just did the, treasurer's report, annual treasurer's report, which was in the paper last week.
The culvert account now on a spreadsheet? Or
Probably
a
good.
balance sheet, income
It's always
statement
on the balance sheet.
on the culvert?
Probably something the auditors recommended, you know?
Yeah.
I think that invoice that he's submitted is broken down, right? If I remember. Are there 3 invoices in there, or?
Just one.
No, but it's,
I think it's broken, I thought it was broken down into what he, on each.
no, not yet, Mike.
Okay.
Takes him 3 hours to get it out, just the Canadians.
No, he's counting all these different times.
Let's see. Fees for time spent commuting.
He's deducted it. He charges $195 and he took off $195.
Oh,
He didn't charge us for it. Credits issued for commute.
oh.
So he's actually, been very good about it.
He's very good for, talking to him today on it.
He's a great guy.
He's good.
Okay. And on number 3803 for quality computer services, we installed an antivirus software, is that redundant if we're gonna get a new? I mean,
No, this
It's
is
different?
different. They expire every year, so you have to re-up them, so. Teresa bought it, he installed it.
Is that what this 3898 is about? For Teresa, reimbursement for notary?
She,
she's a professional.
That's 2 different things.
yeah.
Her notary license or
Oh,
fee,
okay, okay.
and then
Okay.
the,
And then we entered in for the
Yeah.
architect software.
Transportation.
And we do transportation separate, Joe, or do we gotta?
Oh.
Anybody got any else?
Still looking at transportation.
okay, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve the town account for the month for a total of $33,319.55.
And a second?
I'll second.
Okay, no, any discussion? No?
Ted,
Yes.
Mike Mack,
Yes,
Mike
sir.
Stoller,
Yes?
Mark,
Yes.
Paul.
Yes.
Let's sign these guys.
Okay, next meeting is November 3rd, right here. We have a movie next, coming up?
We have a movie, yep, we have, November the 12th, we have a movie.
And we have a Pie Fest coming up.
Is everybody going to be at that intergovernmental meeting
When is that?
at the end of the month?
Yeah, it's the Thursday, the last Thursday of the month, I think.
30th, I
You
think.
sent out a letter on it? I didn't get it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh, maybe I-
Keep in mind, if you guys have more than 2 people go, if you have 3 people there, you have to call meetings, you gotta take minutes. I will not be there, someone will have to take minutes, so.
That's, I do believe they're having the guy for update on,
yeah, I really am, thing again. That poor guy.
Here, you decide.
What's that?
When's the intergovernmental?
Yes, sir.
I think it's the 30th.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a Thursday. If that's a Thursday, it's usually on a Thursday.
Yeah, the 30th. Township?
You gonna do it?
Am I gonna
Is
be?
that you?
Yeah, I'm gonna try.
That heartbeat thing, Paul, is that you? Got to make you sprint. Doctor.
He thinks he's seeing in a body, you know, stomach is shaky.
Those are the warrants, 3390, 390. Because you just signed away. Those stuff is funny, you just signed it, thanks for your car.
Okay, anything else? Nothing?
Pie Fest,
What are you talking about, Pie Fest?
Christmas.
Oh,
That'll be, we'll talk about that next month. Has everybody signed all 3 documents? The GA road and bridge and town account? Yeah.
okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
Here's question. So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay,
So we're having shots next
voice. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
Meeting adjourned at 8, what's that, 8:40?
47.
8:47 p.m.
It's a good job to be the judge. Hey, I'm gonna order name tags now that we're officially got Mark on